Media Men Online. I am Dan. This is Jeremy.
This is Jeremy for the third time.
And this is our third attempt at the anime 3x3, which is basically the 9 anime which describe us as anime fans, which I think at some point we'll do movies as well. That one might be a little bit more difficult. Now, with this, I had a lot of trouble narrowing it down to 9. Including switching one between our two attempts at recording this due to my terrible audio. So let's start with Jeremy and then we'll do mine.
The start of my 9x9 is with Drifters, which is one of the classic get pulled into another world, but it's not about just like one person. You start off the show with what you think of as a protagonist, and then it turns out he is not the protagonist. It really becomes more about one side of a war, and the group is made up of just people from different timelines and universes. But it's also one of the smarter shows. There's a strategy guy who comes from medieval Japanese times. He realizes, I'm in this world, but there's no gunpowder yet. Let me, collect all the bodies of these fantasy creatures and make an open grave full of actual shit so that I can collect what I need to make gunpowder. It's not super gory, but it does have almost like a brutal theme to it. Mm-hmm. There's no good person. It's more like smart, pragmatic people following their goals instead of the classic hero just pulling off the Superman where everything goes perfectly. Yeah, so I've actually got 3 shows where someone gets pulled into another world.
Yep.
4 if you count Fullmetal Alchemist, but only at the end. Spoilers for a 1990 show, whenever that came out. But I think they're different enough that they don't overlap too much.
Yeah.
So I guess I should say the way I started this list is I took a bunch of my anime I gave 10 out of 10 twos, and then when I realized I had overlap, I just replaced them with things that were more unique. And that is how Claymore got on here. Claymore is not one of my 10 out of 10 shows, but it's either a 9 or an 8 out of 10. But it's really good. It's got good action. It has a nice progression of the world. But it's not like, someone just powering up and beating the shit out of Vegeta every season. It's you're actually following the weakest person in sort of the Claymore group, but they turn out to have a skill set that works different than everyone else's. It's not like, my power level is now 8,000. What? 9,000? Inconceivable.
Yeah, one I've read the manga on this one and it is excellent. So it falls in the category for me. There's I think Vagabond, Berserk, and Vinland Saga are all in this
yeah.
It's
that's a really solid group of anime to watch.
Yeah, those are the brutal / best stories. I think they're called seinen stories, but which means older, young adult or older. I can't remember exactly. But yeah, this one's excellent. And for your whole list, I did have a thought before you dropped your list in there that we would probably have one in common, and we do. But we'll get to that later on.
Yes. I didn't think we would have one in common, but that is because I didn't think you would put my number 8 on your list at all. My number 3, which if I had to guess we had one in common, is the one I would have picked.
Yeah.
Is Fullmetal Alchemist. It is shocking to me that Dan has not seen Fullmetal Alchemist or Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Correct.
Both of them are worth a watch. The first one is funny and corny, a little bit campy, but it still has just some absolute badassitude to it. And it's another really smart show.
So plain Fullmetal Alchemist is on your list. Would you recommend to someone who hasn't seen it to go with the regular one or the Brotherhood?
Oh, that's a tough one. A lot of people don't like the first one because probably the parts of it that are the most annoying are the ones that don't follow the original material.
Yeah.
Brotherhood is more accurate to the manga. I enjoy some of the chaos between the Metal Brother and Edward, and I don't know if I would enjoy a rewatch of the original now that I think about it. I probably wouldn't enjoy the humor now that I'm, 85 years old than I was when I watched it. How many times can I watch the anime character is short and not getting laid joke? My number 4 is Breakblade. Yes. A name that is both unique and also somehow super generic. And this anime stands in as probably my example of the magic world has one guy who's not magical. This is my Mashle /
Black Clover.
Black Clover, yeah. Black Clover season 1 probably being the best example of this, but this one also has Gundams in it.
Yeah.
And it's good Gundam action, not shitty Gundam action like the Gundam series. Come at me, fanboys. That series is crap. Every season of it. All of them. There's never been a single thing named Gundam that was good.
I have to slightly disagree, but it's not about the anime. When I was a kid, I used to build the little models, and those were good.
Yeah. Much like the Transformer series. The toys.
Yeah. Yeah. But were you debating? So you needed a mech show. Were you debating between this and Darling in the Franxx?
Okay, so I actually eliminated Darling in the Franxx because as a rule, I'm not going to suggest someone go watch the Doggy Style show.
Yeah. Go watch Darling in the Franxx.
It's a good show. Just you don't let your parents walk in. Number 5 is Parasyte. Parasyte is an amazing show. There is nothing like it. I try to put in items here that are in some way or another hard to find somewhere else. It's very easy to be like, oh man, my shows include Naruto, Dragon Ball Z, and One Piece. And have you guys heard of Death Note? It's a good show. Some shows are just either so popular or so good that it kind of, to me, when we said, what shows your taste, it doesn't really show your taste. It's like, yes, a ribeye steak shows how much I enjoy food, or just, it's a ribeye. It's cheating. But Parasyte is not a super smart show, but it has good action, really good drama between, weirdly enough, a talking hand. You watch it and I really want to know what this talking hand monster is going to do next. Number 6 is Log Horizon. This is the second of 3, people get pulled into a magical world. Yep. This one is the subcategory pulled into a video game, not to be confused with Overlord or My Life is a Slime or the other 900 versions.
Sword Art Online is the most famous one.
Yeah, Sword Art Online season 1 is a really good example of this. Although on rewatch, the show is not as quite enjoyable. But Log Horizon is, I think, probably the one that insults your intelligence the least. The characters are using in-game rules and strategies to have their sort of Game of Thrones style machinations. The main character isn't the strongest character or the most charismatic or even the most resourceful. He's the one that kind of comes up with unusual ideas, mostly off screen. So we can all be impressed with his brilliance together. And he's sort of not an anti-hero, but he's kind of seen as a villain by his allies almost, which is an interesting way to put it together, I think.
Is this one on Crunchyroll? And yep, sure is. I'll be watching this one. There's 5 out of the anime on your list. There are 5 that I've never seen.
Number 7 is Re:Zero. I don't remember the rest of it. You look up Re:Zero, you come out with it. This is heads and shoulders the best I've been pulled into another world anime. Doing this list made me realize I really like those. Maybe because I want to get out of this world, but anywho. Re:Zero is another really smart show. The main character is not smart, but the world operates well. He shows up dies like a dumbass, but then he Groundhog Days his way towards being, this Machiavellian, but also absolutely crazy person who is cracking under the pressure of just dying over and over again. He does not enjoy being murdered.
Weird.
But on to a show of people that do enjoy being murdered.
Yep.
Attack on Titan. This is one of the best anime ever done. It's also a standout in its own category. I can't think of anything that's like Attack on Titan. I don't think there's ever been an anime that like gave me chills like the one where the chills, like, spoiler, when the guy just finds his mom turned into a Titan.
Yeah.
I was like, holy fuck. This side character just had my world destroyed while I'm watching an anime. It is a 9.5 out of 10 because there's a little too much screaming.
Yeah.
And the ending is not the best, but my God, the first, 3 seasons are just some of the best TV you can find.
Yeah.
Number 9 is Goblin Slayer. Never has a show changed more from episode 1 to 2.
Yeah.
I repeat, do not watch episode 1 without Googling a trigger warning. Holy shit. But then episode 2 through 12 is a normal show.
Yeah, it's super weird.
I don't know their motivations. The makers of Goblin Slayer just want to see the world burn. They're like, I'm going to make a show that's really good and really smart so that people want to talk about it. I'm going to make it so that they talk about it. People watch episode 1 and think they're a fucking sicko. It's a very disconcerting show, but I mean, once you get past episode 1, which isn't bad,
right?
It's just not the same as the rest of it. They're both good for what they're doing.
And not only does it happen, but it comes out of absolute nowhere because they set it up in the beginning as where this is the party you're going to be following. Everything seems like these are the characters you're going to be following for the next 12 episodes. And then they completely flip it 9 minutes later and shove that scene on you. And it's not only goblin rape, it's like goblin gangbang.
Yeah.
Very shocking.
But once you get past episode 1, it's a really good world. And you have this guy who's just, got PTSD from the crap that these goblins do.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's the best revenge porn. I mean, when he's just taking down, just hordes of goblins, it's like, oh man, he's got me cheering for all this baby murder.
Yeah.
Which I normally cheer for, but for different reasons.
Yeah, and I get that they throw the shock factor in because they want you to hate these things as much as they need to justify all of the goblin murder throughout the rest of the series.
Yeah, they need you along the ride for when he burns them alive.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think episode 1 is just out of sync with the rest of it. Either make that show or don't make that show.
It's a bold choice, but it paid off because this is it's a widely praised show. I wouldn't say universally because so many people tuned out after that first episode, but what are you going to do?
I enjoy darker themes in anime.
Yeah.
And that one is it right there. Like,
and unlike you, I enjoyed lighter themes in anime. Clearly, based on my 3x3 we're going to talk about here. I wanted to bring up one on.
I mean, everyone knows that Parasyte is a happy-go-lucky show.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, none of mine are really happy shows, are they? They're all. No. I will say that Break Blade is the most positive one. Let's talk about Dan and his happy-go-lucky nonsense.
You're damn right.
Oh, you still got the ass one. All right, I was worried you'd lose that.
No, absolutely not. That's one of my favorite anime ever. I dropped Konosuba just because I have a hard, fast rule, which I'm going to break with the very first one that I mentioned.
And the hardness is exactly what you think it is.
No, the hard, fast rule is about screaming. And there's so much screaming in Konosuba because the 4 main characters are always yelling at each other. So real quick, Jujutsu Kaisen, I love the first 12 episodes and it drops off of a cliff for me. Mm-hmm. And I was just rewatching this tournament arc and it is the best and worst part of shonen anime. The action scenes are cool, but they over-explain everything. Like the dark flash fire fist. You can only do it so many times. And then the girl's like, oh my God, he can only do it so many times. And then the guy who's going to do it says, oh, I can only do it so many times. I'm like,
But then he
shut
does it
up.
again.
Then he does it more than the so many times that he could do it. Like, this is so irritating.
It's impossible.
Yeah. All right. My 3x3, starting off with a screamy boy, My Hero Academia. This anime hit me at the perfect time. I grew up on American comics and superhero stories, and I found the My Hero Academia manga right as American comics started to drop off this really, really steep cliff. I guess that's what a cliff is. But what I like about it is that Deku's the main character, but he's also one of like 3 dozen main characters.
Yeah.
We get all sorts of different angles from different people. I love the pervy kid, Minor. What's his name?
Mineta.
Mineta. Jesus, I almost called him Minoru.
What on earth? This is a first. One, I know a name that Dan doesn't.
Mhm.
And two, it's a character in My Hero Academia.
Yeah. What did you used to call him? We used to do My Hero Academia reviews, and you call him like balls or something. Purple sack. I don't know.
Grape nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the beginning, it starts off with all the students, but now we're 6 seasons in. A bunch of the students are still part of it, but nowhere near as much. It's the main 3 students. I mean, Ochaku and Froppy are doing their own thing, but it's the main 3 students mixed in with all the heroes. So it's really cool. Secondly, Attack on Titan. This is the only one we had. And don't pay attention to any order. I just tried to set them up. Like, My Hero Academia is not my favorite one, but I just tried to set them up. My left side, you'll be seeing on the screen, is kind of like the shonen stuff. The middle is the more serious stuff, and then the right side is my favorite stuff. But Attack on Titan, number 2. I mean, you just talked about it, but I was at the panel when they announced the anime, when there was such a huge gap between season 1 and 2 that I picked up the manga and caught all the way up. Number 3, Kill la Kill. So this follows Ryuka Matoi. She's on a quest for revenge. She's avenging her father's death. It's a total parody anime, overblown situations, scantily clad armor, which we're on the right side of my list here, so you get the idea.
Because the left hand's busy, yeah.
That's correct. I am a southpaw. Anyways. But like all the situations, they take the shonen jump, the shonen action anime, and they crank it up to 11. Even the art is really weird and overblown and things like that, and it's great. There's one scene in particular I mentioned last time we tried to record this, but Ryuku's side friend Mako, she's like her little sidekick, her best buddy, whatever. She's going to be dipped in hot oil and turned into a fried shrimp or whatever. And they have her upside down. They're going to dip her in, and her school skirt is like, she's trying to keep it from going up. And her concern is not my imminent death if I fall down, 3 feet. She's worried about the type of panties she's wearing. Oh, I should have worn my sexy panties today. So funny stuff. Interesting. Even the action is really good, even though it's totally outrageous. But that's the point. Next up is Mashle. This is One Punch Man plus Harry Potter plus Black Clover. I'm not going to go too much into this because we just talked about season 1, episodes 1 and 2. Those are up on the channel. Go check out our little review of those 2. I added this one even though the season's not over, because between the time we recorded or the time we attempted to record and this time, I'll stop talking about that at some point. I watched 2 more episodes and I'm like, okay, this is exactly what I want. It's lighthearted, but it's also got some good action. It
has he punched a book so hard a report flew out of it?
Yeah, and it just has, again, the most ridiculous. This is the other parody on my list. Just ridiculous ways of him solving the magic. He's got no magic, and he solves magic puzzles with sheer force. So I think it's ridiculous and fantastic. Okay.
It raises so many questions for me. I would do an episode by episode review just so that I can make if I could just make someone try to answer the questions.
This one is front and center for a very particular reason because the L saga, L versus Light, is my favorite anime ever. And sure, it's Death Note. Everyone knows Death Note. Am I digging up some elaborate treasure to grace you with? No, this is Death Note. I love Death Note. It's a chess game of on ridiculous proportions, and my last three have been ridiculous. Sure, it takes things even from eating a bag of chips and makes it interesting. Light Yagami, if you haven't heard of this story, real quick, finds a Death Note. It's a notebook that says Death Note on it. If you write someone's name as you're picturing them in your head, they die in, I can't remember the exact time frame, but you can also write when and how they die. So the whole thing is L and his team trying to figure out if this is even connected. Like, who is the killer? How are they killing? Like, because there's no, he can do it from vacation 3,000 miles away. So are there ridiculous conclusions that are jumped to?
Yes.
Horribly.
It is.
But
Oh my god. It just makes no sense. There's almost conclusive proof it's not Light. And there's literally just like a weird hunch based on how his hair is parted or some bullshit like that. And he just like throws the kid in jail for 6 months.
Yeah.
Watch him get emaciated. Like, no, he's gonna run out of random victims.
It's pretty wild, but I love it. I always champion for at least the first half. The M and N saga takes a bit of a dive, but still enjoyable. Yeah, if you haven't seen it, go see it. Like, I don't know what else to say about it. Number 6, Shimoneta, a boring world where the concept of dirty jokes doesn't exist. Everything in this world, in terms of dirty thoughts, dirty magazines, anything along those lines, is totally banned. Everyone, all the young kids have regulator chokers. So if they talk about anything dirty or think about it, they're totally policed. Even the opening scene, a bunch of kids find some dirty magazines and they're up in this building, just in an empty building, reading it because, it'd be like the place that you'd find a drug deal, but with porn. And there's a freaking SWAT raid. It's insane. And the main girl is a vigilante protagonist. She's basically Batman, but with smut. It's just basically loosen up, I guess, is the overall goal of this lady here. And it is hilarious. This one isn't a parody. It's a future in which people's thoughts are policed, which is kind of the present. Haganai, I Don't Have Many Friends is next, and this is the only harem like romance style anime that I have. It's funny, it's interesting, and the characters, even though they have their struggles, I'll get to what it is exactly in a second. Even though they have their struggles and one of them is kind of bitchy, they're all likable in their own way. Because even the bitchy one, you kind of find out why she is as the series goes on. In the beginning, it's like this is too much. I can't stand this woman. But you start to feel for her. It's basically a group of misfits create their own club. They don't fit into any club, and I think every student has to be in a club, something like that. So they create the Friends Club. It's kind of like the Losers Club, except they're friends in quotes. The main guy has resting angry face, which I completely relate to. People would always ask you, why are you so mad? I'm not. It's just my face. That's what this guy has. I don't know if I do much anymore, but especially when I was in school and that kind of thing. Another dystopian future, and this one is called Psychopaths. Now, this was in contention with Death Note for my favorite anime. It's a dystopian future where an AI determines the mental health of criminals. And you could even, I guess, point the gun at civilians and it would determine whether or not they were dangerous beyond repair, I guess. So basically with criminals, it takes the thought work out of should you put them down or should you stun them? You point It's called a dominator. You point the gun, it analyzes them, it allows or denies lethal force. It's pretty wild. It gets to the point where you don't even have to be a criminal, and this AI is telling you whether or not you should execute somebody. The main character is a rookie. We start off, it's her first day. There are the detective buddy cop thing, but the main character is the rookie female. It toys with your concepts of morality throughout because you're kind of following along with her. So you're trying to think, should we let an AI do this? Really?
Yes.
So
You're wrong.
Nobody could ever hack that or anything. And my last one is Jeremy's favorite photo on this one. This is High School DxD, and there were a bunch of photos, but none of them all had like upskirt shots, so I made sure to pick this one just to really hammer it home, pun intended. Issei's the main character. He and a couple of his friends join what was once an all-girls school, but they're starting to implement boys into it. They're still losers. They're the only boys there except for one other guy, and they still can't get a date. I guess maybe an all-girls school would have their guards up anyways, but whatever. Issei gets a date in the first episode, and he is killed at the end of the date because this girl is an evil angel lady. Why does she kill him? Because it turns out he's one of the dragons that, he's got magical powers. But Rias, who's the main protagonist, she resurrects him so she can add him to her crew. It's heavy. I mean, obviously, look at the photo here. It's very heavy on ecchi elements and things like that.
I don't think the word is heavy. I think the word is thick.
Yeah. Oh, thick. Yeah. But the dub dialogue is top notch. I was just watching a dub earlier, by the way, that was not top notch. It's a new anime. It was kind of cringy, but the dub is excellent. They really took their time with it. And the action scenes are even better. Typically, they'll use nudity and like, oh, the girl fell down and her panties are up to cover up for a shitty story.
Yeah.
This is not the case. So I think there is an edited version if you're too sensitive out there to that type of thing.
To having a story? Yeah, I hate that. Do they have one where they don't have that stupid plot getting in the way of
boobs?
My happy time? Yeah.
But for the reverse, if you don't really want the boobs or anything in there, I would ask what's wrong with you, first of all. No. But they do have an edited version where they'll just put the white bars across. But the story itself is great, and the action scenes are fantastic. The humor's light, the fan service is heavy, and the fight scenes are awesome. And I feel like Walter White, when he does that speech, I'm the one who knocks, I'm the fan who's serviced. So that's my line. That's my 9. That wasn't planned. Let us know what you think. Have you seen? I'm sure most people have seen, I would say, the majority of mine. Yeah, check these out. Check out all 18 of these, and I guess Jujutsu Kaisen as well.
If for no reason other than just enjoying the old 8,000-year-old jerky.
Yeah, true. That's true. All right. So on that note, we will catch you guys later.
Until the inevitable next episode.